Good afternoon for some of you. Good morning for a lot of other you. Thank you for joining us here yet again for another WandaVision discussion here on Shmow Me the Money. I am here with my two co-hosts, Jeff Altman / Quiz Show, and Dan. I'm not saying your last name because I'm going to butcher it.
Bettenhausen, it's freaking hard, man.
It is for me. It is for me. Call sign Hans and Franz. We are also joined by a special guest today, a newly drafted rookie in the movie trivia Schmodown, who has the first match to air after the pay-per-view matches. It is rookie of the Quirky Mercs, the Jackal, Jesse Swift.
Brilliant intro. Well done, sir. Thank you, Bennett. I appreciate it.
Hey,
I have a match
I'm just trying to get that hype up. I'm just trying to get that hype up for you.
I didn't realize I had a match coming up.
You're so focused on studying, right?
Yeah.
So
it's not like that's been every waking element of my existence for the last week.
No, I think it was last week or the week before. You sent out a tweet basically asking if anyone wanted you to come on to discuss WandaVision. I'm like, all right, let's see if we can make this work. Let's see if we can get them to follow us. That way I can send them a DM to ask. So
that's right. It's step by step. But no, I got the inspiration because I myself on my channel had Chris Anthony Lopez from Spin from the Reel over and did a review with us. And I was like, well, that was a lot of fun. I'd like to do the reverse and see if I can pop on somebody else's channel.
Yeah. It's like this show is just so fun to just watch and talk about. Like, yes, the episodes are like 25 minutes, but I've not seen a single live stream discussion that is under an hour. The only ones I see that are short are the ones where they actually pre-film it and they just kind of get the general. But when you have live streams like this, you'll have people talk for anywhere from 60 to 90 minutes.
Yeah, and especially when you have multiple people. Like when I was doing one with my co-host, we'd run it about 30, 40 minutes. So understandably, when we added in a third person, a new element, we went an hour and a half. Easy.
Yeah, we had 5 last week, and then we went on like a 30-minute tangent on the Fantastic Four when we were talking about who's this.
Last week it was like just talking about all sorts of shit, and then it's like, all right, now back to when the boys turned into 10-year-olds right before our eyes, and we were at the 53-minute mark when we got to that point.
Okay, we need to get through this fast. So yeah, hopefully today we can limit that. So let's just start at the top. We get a Malcolm in the Middle inspired intro. I absolutely loved it. I got I knew it right away. I'm like, oh, this is Malcolm in the Middle. So great. I'm curious as to why they skipped the 90s.
I think
interesting.
With the last episode, they were pushing the very late 80s, early 90s, and they kind of just did like an amalgamation. And I think the 90s didn't have as many memorable things show-wise. It did have some. It had several. But I'm wondering maybe they'll go back to it, or maybe they just really wanted to hit modern times. I'm not sure.
Yeah, to me, there's a good sense that it's going to be that Modern Family style next week. And then I think the final 2 episodes, we're getting away from the TV shows. It's going to be everything's coming to a head in the last 2. Stuff's going to happen with the Hex, or the Hex is going to go wonky, and we're going to get away from those themed kind of decade episodes.
That's a fair point.
Yeah, it's. I mean, like, we already kind of saw that a little bit this week, where after the skipping, you've seen the background with. I'm just mentioning it here without trying to jump too far ahead. The theater marquee, which had the Parent Trap, and it had the Incredibles, which of course has its own various little like themes and stuff in there about twins causing mischief somehow, as well as a superhero family, a lot of stuff that's relevant to the show, but also Parent Trap was 1998. If they're going by general timeline and not like the 1961 or 62 release one, and then Incredibles was 2004. So even just in the background, there are things about what they're showing where the actual timeline are kind of starting to kind of mesh together. And considering all of it's fake, it makes sense that it doesn't necessarily have to start adhering to a specific timeline visual palette.
And similar to last week's intro, like the lyrics of the song are just keep playing off of things aren't as they seem. Just go along with it. It's fine.
Why you watch the subtitles? Because if you watch with subtitles, you'll catch a lot of that.
Always do.
So,
I went and looked up last episode to get the lyrics, but I haven't done it yet for this one.
Very similar themes.
Yeah,
very similar theme.
It's interesting, and I know something a lot of people brought up is they skipped the '90s, and a lot of people wanted a Friends type intro. I don't know if that works with the just who's on the show. It's just a family, so I feel like so far they've chosen shows that have like family based in it.
I think that's where you could have gone like Full House.
Maddie.
Well, yeah, I think that would have been an easy one, right? And I don't know. There's missed Olsen opportunity, I think.
Oh,
yeah.
Absolutely.
I can't believe I didn't even think about that, man. Wow.
I just don't. I think they feel like that's too on the nose, so they're like, "Yeah."
Is it with this show? Is anything too on the nose?
They
A
dropped
lot of
a
stuff is on the
kick-ass line in the middle of the show. I don't think
it wasn't
on the nose.
Everyone thinks that the kick-ass thing was like so cool, but and I thought it was very funny because I wasn't the only one who thought about that when it happened when Pietro showed up. Like, wait a minute. They both were in Kick-Ass together, and now he's playing his part there. But I thought that the way she just randomly just went, Kick-Ass. Well, okay, I get what you're saying there, but it didn't feel. It felt pretty, false. But then again, so do a lot of random one-liners in sitcoms.
I think a lot of people forget that Evan Peters is in Kick-Ass. I think a lot of people.
He's ass kicker.
Yeah, he's ass kicker, which is so great. Evan Peters in this episode absolutely killed it. He was so amazing in this episode. I have a lot of concerns as to who he is because I don't think he's Pietro.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
I've been saying this since episode 2 when I saw the rumor that Evan Peters would be on. He is either going to be Mephisto or a aged up version of the twins. I don't think because they're not identical twins. So I don't think it's going to happen. I'm still on the boat that he will end up being a disguised Mephisto, and this episode proved a lot of points for me for that.
Me as well.
Because he says like demons, like there's a lot of demon devil.
Raise hell, demon spawns.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and I mean, like they only. The twins don't really actually start interacting in any way. Like, I mean, they were born in episode 3, but it's really episode 5, the same episode where he shows up, where they're actually officially like on the show, really. And if Mephisto really had a hand, like in the comics or whatever, with actually creating the twins, then it makes sense that he shows up around the same time as the actual twins as well.
Getting back to the start of the episode, one thing I'm very happy with is that the kids are characters and they're not just plot devices. Like, I love that Billy was the narrator during that whole kind of intro portion of the show.
Dan, can I add on the narrating bit?
Please.
So I noticed this the second time I watched it. I was trying to watch it a third time this morning, but I just got caught up in things. But typically when he breaks the fourth wall and kind of narrates, everyone else kind of resumes what they're doing. Right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Maybe you know what I'm going to bring up. Yep. I noticed the second time that when he's talking about Wanda and Vision, like kind of arguing that they've been different. since Quicksilver since Pietro showed up. Pietro's watching him talk.
Yeah.
Whereas everybody else never breaks.
I'm trying to find that on the actual.
But Buck and I did a rewatch right before this, and that's when I noticed it was on this third rewatch, was that he was looking over at Billy doing that monologue there.
While Billy's kind of talking about him.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Just saying.
I think they found two great kid actors for these parts. I think both of them do a very good job being the characters that they're asked to be. And I think that makes it better. And again, glad they're not just standard kid actor plot devices and they're actually have a depth to them.
Yeah, I think what's great is that, I mean, like, yeah, they have superpowers and whatnot, but they feel like the kind of kid actors that would be cast and act in a sitcom,
Mhm.
which
Yeah.
which is good. It's like Feige did his
So
research, guys. Yeah.
another thing
Wow.
that Dan brought up, and something that I noticed. So originally, for me, I thought Billy's costume kind of looked like, for me, a lot of people saying Doctor Strange. For me, it felt like it looked like Magneto. And but
It
then
looks like Wiccan.
Dan,
Right.
yeah, I'm actually, I just put it in here. Let's just wait
It
for
was definitely a Wiccan and Speedy, although
Yeah,
Speedy
see with
he was
the
much
red
more like
cape and the
Quicksilver than Speedy, didn't he?
Yeah.
so
Great
yeah,
image.
yeah,
Yes,
he
no, you're
looked
right about
exactly.
Speed. Yeah.
I was like,
But then
yeah,
again,
like
I mean,
when
of
Des
course,
said that, I was like, oh yeah.
he was idolizing Quicksilver, so it makes sense.
Well, Joe, Malcolm in the Middle was from 2000 to 2006. So if you want to go based on that, 2000s, I guess you could say is.
But I got giddy each time we saw them come in their original costumes. Like when Wanda walked down the stairs in the shot we got in most of the previews and the marketing material for the show. When we saw Vision,
Like
yeah, like I got super get like
so
to me
good
that
with kids.
to me that paid off. Seeing the Quicksilver outfit and the poofy hair and the boys in their Wiccan and Speed costume, like to me that was all wonderful, and I'm glad that paid off.
I want to ask you guys a quick question just while we're in the early bit of this episode. When it came to the intro, did you guys get a Kids in America vibe from the sound of the song?
A little bit.
Okay, I'm glad I wasn't the only one.
Yeah, it was definitely a very, what is it, like a pop punk vibe at the beginning. The kind that really.
I'm not gonna say the word giddy. That's all I'm gonna say.
Giddy.
There's another word there's another word that describes.
It gave Buck the vapors.
Yes.
I mean, I just thought it was. I really enjoy how they use the Halloween special episode format to have the characters be in their comic accurate costumes, but they're like really shitty versions of their comic the comic accurate ones.
I just want to point out that Pietro's hair looks like he has horns.
Yes.
That's
Also,
yeah.
Ace Ventura.
Yeah. That too.
Did you guys get as much Jim Carrey energy in the shows?
Yeah,
a little bit.
Oh,
Now that you say it.
Yeah, right on. As soon as you said that, oh my god, he's so right. He's
he was like, it wasn't me, it was Billy. Tell me, and don't you forget it. And it felt like something that Jim Carrey would do.
Remember,
very kinetic. For someone
Ventura,
who has,
when they did that to his hair, they were calling him White Devil.
Devil. There it is again.
Devil.
Okay.
I mean,
I like how you go
powers,
from one Batman mug to another
kinetic
Batman mug.
Oh, actually,
it's just the flip side.
Oh, okay. I was about to say.
I do wish he now had two mugs just for the bit, but.
So after this, we go back to Outside the Hex, where Hayward, he said some disrespectful stuff to Monica.
Disrespectful.
You know who's probably best friends is Thunderbolt and Hayward. I feel like.
I don't doubt that whatsoever. Like
he's actually Thunderbolt Ross's secret love child.
Yeah. I mean, like
he brings up Captain Marvel, and I'm like, whoa. And then he basically says that you probably couldn't do this because you have a weak stomach. I'm like, you said what? Like, I'm like, damn.
I thought we were going to get our first photon blast,
Dude,
just like across the room.
As soon as because they're somewhat close. I thought after he brought up that she'd had a weak stomach, she would reach across and just deck him. I really thought she was going to do it. Like, I think she will eventually do it because he'll say something that crosses the line, or they'll find out he's hiding something big. So it's going to be interesting. He basically tells them to leave. One thing that Dan brought up, and I've seen a lot of people bring up, how the world was after the snap to when they came back. Like how was the world during that time? Was there a lot of crimes being committed? Like, what happened during that time frame? I would like to see a show, to be honest.
I'm sure they will explore it at some point. But I gotta say, one of my favorite things, and I know that they talked about it on
you would, Maddie. You would headbutt Mr. Mixed Martial Arts.
Yeah, Mr. I'm gonna fight everyone, but also probably win. One of my favorite things, though, and I know they mentioned it on Action there, and it's been sitting with me ever since they actually brought it up. Just how funny the line really is after everyone actually says their comments, or Hayward's gonna be like, he's insulting everyone, and then he just goes, "We don't have time to diminish your coworkers."
Yeah,
it's just such a dry comment, and it's so funny that it comes from Randall Park. We don't have time to diminish your coworkers.
Show
basically asked them to leave, and we see badass Jimmy Woo kick some ass. Dude, I was like, let's go. So he can throw a punch. He is
Kung Wu.
Some Kung Wu. And then Darcy's like, why didn't you let me in on the plan? I don't think this was a plan. I think this was more, they looked at each other and it's like, okay, yeah, we're not leaving. So
I think a lot of us want to think that we would have been Monica or Jimmy in that instance, but I think a lot of us would have been Darcy. Just like,
what do I do? What do I do here?
So going back to Hayward just for a sec, Buck and I were talking a little bit before. I don't think it's unreasonable as a character in this world, and I was talking with some other generals last night about this, to feel like Wanda's a threat. I mean, in all intents and purposes, she's holding these people hostages in his head. Like, that's what it appears. I think the big issue I have with him, he also said, like, it's a good thing you weren't around when your mom died to Monica, but like, Monica's major point that you're escalating the situation is what the problem is.
Stop poking Mama Bear.
Right. We need to de-escalate this, and you're just making it worse. I don't think it's a problem for Hayward to think, yeah, Wanda's a threat. She could be the villain in this situation, but you're going about handling it incorrectly.
Yeah.
That's why she says if she's the problem, she needs to be the solution. We don't know what wiping her out is going to do. The person that supposedly started this has to be the one that can,
probably
bring it in.
Yeah,
and that makes perfect sense. But Hayward is that typical guy. I mean, there could obviously be more sinister stuff underneath for him. Maybe he's somehow connected to Hydra, considering most of the letters in Hayward can create Hydra somehow. Or, also there's a Hayward in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. who is somehow a Hydra guy. There's all these different things, but also he could just be that one guy who's the superior officer of like the military group who happens to just want to like go in guns blazing for stuff, while the actual like people that we follow are like, no, you can't do that. And it's not that he's a bad guy. It's that's just what he knows, is how to just treat everything with gunfire. So he could be real shitty and sinister and we're not seeing something, or he could just be that guy who needs to learn that there are just other ways to approach how to deal with the situation.
I have a weird suspicion that there's a tie between him and our Pietro.
Yeah.
Certainly possible.
So my two things with Pietro is he is either Mephisto in disguise, or he works for S.W.O.R.D. And they changed his appearance somehow, or he is a Quicksilver from a different verse, whether it's the X-Men verse or a different verse in the multiverse, who now works for S.W.O.R.D. and he's trying to get info. Because near the end there, he asks a lot of questions. It's like probing questions, a lot of probing questions.
But the questions that Wanda asks him, she's trying to get him to answer and to like prove that he knows stuff. And he literally points out that she's trying to get answers from him and doesn't answer anything.
Right, he never answers.
The only thing he says is, it's like, I don't know. First I got gunned down in the street,
Like a
And the
chump.
next thing I know, I heard you call him. Yeah, that's like a chump. I couldn't remember the word he used. And then next thing I knew, I heard you calling, so I had to come. And like that makes it sound like he's actually a recast version of Aaron Taylor Johnson's, but he's totally just playing him like the Fox version. So
I don't think
this real weird
the Fox version. I think Evan Peters is doing something wholly original with this.
Yeah.
Pietro.
I think it's slightly there, but
It's
I
much
think he just
closer,
takes
though,
it
to that, I
to
think.
another level. Like I
Yeah.
think it's kind of there.
I mean,
like I think the base is there. Like the base character, but he just does something a little bit different with it, a little bit more pun intended quirky. He's more quirky.
There's this line that he said, and hold on, let me pull up the IndieWire review of the episode, because that they brought up the line that I'm thinking of that he said that I found to be pretty relevant. They said, "Oh, this was pretty on the nose," and I'm like, "Well, yeah, that's the whole point, that it was on the nose." But come on. Oh no, that's last week's episode. All right.
To me, he seems a little bit more vindictive than the other incarnations of Quicksilver.
Yeah.
And also there's a specific exchange of dialogue that I'll say why I think it really leans into Mephisto, but I'll let you of course finish up your point.
I mean,
yeah,
if
I'm just looking for it.
Donate, it's right there. It's in the pinned comment.
That's right.
Yeah.
We're the schmoes. Give us the money.
Yeah. So just real quickly, another thing that Dan and I kind of noticed is this whole scene where he says something and then it happens.
That's interesting way to look at that. I was thinking more of like a WandaVision glitch type thing again, but that's actually
because he's like, all the candy has disappeared, and then like 2 seconds later you see Quicksilver takes all of it, and then next thing is all the pumpkins get smashed. Then they get smashed. Like, it's interesting.
Smashing pumpkins, right on.
Smashing pumpkins.
And it could just be playing off the sitcom elements. But I mean,
yeah, that's exactly how I felt. But it could. I think that's more of just a sitcom-y thing of he's saying it and it's happening. But then he does say, he's like, "Do you want something changed? Do you want something different?" Right. Which is exactly the same sort of thing as Agnes last week, where she's like, "Dude, you want to take it from the top? Like, do you want me to hold the babies?" By the way, the comment here, I found it. Here's the dialogue. Where it's like Wanda asks him, like, "Why do you look different?" He goes, and he doesn't really, he's not able to answer, and he just goes, I'm just trying to do my part. Come to town unexpectedly, create tension with the brother-in-law, stir up trouble with the Rugrats, and ultimately give you grief. That's what you wanted, isn't it? So, I think that
that's like near the end. Yeah.
What throws me off that a little bit is that everything about him being here has completely derailed, like, her plans, her control. She can't get comfortable. And as before, usually anything that revolves around her decisions, she is like the overseer of. Like, she's been kind of controlling Vision. She's been controlling all the Westview residents. And Pietro, she's got no control over. It doesn't seem like she wanted him there. Like, she thought about having him there, obviously, but him just appearing here seems to be another force involved.
So now, what up, Shug? So now we're up to like what? Definitely 3 people that she can't control: the twins and then him, right? Because the twins, as we know from last week,
I mean, she can't really control Vision lately.
Oh no, that's why I said definitely 3 people, and then I was going to go on to Vision. But like, yeah, it's definitely the twins who, there's the dialogue last week where she's saying, like, why won't you do what I say, and all that other stuff, where it makes it sound like it's coming from a sitcom trope, but really it's commenting on the fact that they're different than everyone else because they're not adhering to when she casts magic spells on them. They're just kind of doing what they want to do. And of course, we get to was it Billy's the short-haired one. Billy's Wiccan.
Billy is Wiccan, yes.
Yeah. And I mean, he hears what happens, and he's the one who has to go tell Wanda this. and they're casting all this magic and doing these. They're using their powers around everyone, and no one can tell. So they're definitely special and different, I think, outside of just like the normal sitcom stuff. And then Pietro is, of course, also kind of just wreaking havoc, basically.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting that he used the words "give you grief" because there's a lot of grief
and
for Wanda.
That's the thing. I think going to Jesse's point, I think maybe we're not in an order, but we're dealing with the stages of grief here. And I think as much as she wants this suburban life with her and Vision, her grief is causing her to want other things or be in denial about things. And when Monica brings up her brother in that conversation, the wheels start turning in her head about her brother, and that's what brings him there. Whether it's her or someone else, we don't know yet. But again, it's when she says she wants that, maybe not externally, but internally, she's feeling grief now about her brother and not just Vision. So it's all coming together in this hex.
Yes. Meanwhile, what's great is I saw Bibbs tweet this out, and it's absolutely something that I was thinking about too. Was one thing that I love about the show is this whole idea of, and I mentioned it from our first go round, was this idea of it's this perfect sort of sitcom town where it's all these sitcom things that happen, but there's always this layer of something sinister that's just right underneath the surface. And watching this where Vision goes on his walk and you see all this stuff on the outskirts, what I love about WandaVision is how it's sort of exposing or commenting or satirizing the world of the sitcom to show it's not nearly the idyllic type of place that shows make it out to be. They're so much more nightmarish than what we actually watch, because what's happening with all these people when they're off screen? And we see they're literally frozen, or if they're just off camera but not like fully off screen, they're doing the same move over again.
This
it's
right
like those
here
characters
is
are
one
stuck
of the
in place
most
waiting for their cue.
This right here is one of the most nerve-wracking scenes.
I don't like it.
Oh my god, it's so like cringe. You're like,
for on the nose as it is, I love that it was tied in with a Halloween episode because there's so much horror in this episode.
It's we still have David Lynch like fully on lock with this.
And again, with the tear rolling down the eye, I got more Get Out feelings about that.
I did as well. That's exactly what I thought was Get Out. And almost like a little bit of like body horror, just with like the entrapment. Like it reminded me of House of Wax a little bit. Like someone's still living and just like stuck.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, and yes, 100%.
Sorry, I got a visitor. I got a visitor here. Hi.
It's just a tail.
It's just the tail, and here's the full one. Oh, he's so big.
What's up, cat?
What's up?
What's new, pussycat?
Oh my god! Just keep going. Pretend he's not here.
Whoa. Okay.
I knew somebody would do it. I mean, when we were getting ready for the stream, I broke in. You guys were doing some kind of karaoke, so I appreciate you serenading me and helping me just loosen the nerves a little bit.
So
where are we back in the episode?
So it's the like we see a Vision walking to the part of town that's farther away from Wanda, and this just shows that she probably doesn't think for the people that are farther away because it doesn't affect her and Vision and the kids as much. And this shows it that they're kind of like she's controlling them, but just barely. Like they're doing like the same task like over and over. And so the farther away you get from Wanda, the worse the less focus. And so we do see that. After this is the commercial. And so I know Jeff's thoughts on this. I know Dan's. Jesse, what is your thoughts on the commercial?
Okay,
the Magic.
What I always love doing is watching. I watch it right at midnight, even though I wake up at 5 o'clock for work.
This week was the first time I did that. Yeah.
So I love watching it, and then when I'm at work, I don't have to talk with a lot of people, so I usually have my headphones in, and I'm just listening to other people review and analyze the show, and then later that night, usually I'll watch it a second time, and I love watching with the perspective and helps kind of change things. But first watch, I didn't really realized that yo magic, I was thinking yo plate, like yogurt, but it's like your magic. And he's like, I'm snacking on yo magic. And I was like, I think this sunglass wearing shark is the antagonist of the show, or representative of. We started out with the trauma. Now we're starting to catch up to present ordeals that Wanda's going through. And I think whether she's consciously aware of it or not, her current trauma is happening right now. And it is likely Mephisto. I think that's been the popular theory for a reason. And how much sense would it make that someone is feeding off her energy, feeding off her magic, feeding off her grief and trauma, and they're slowly withering away? A lot of people are saying that maybe because it was a kid, it was representative of Wiccan or Speed, and that's possible. But I think it also is very much represented of Wanda herself, and that as she keeps exploding with this magic, she might be like losing herself and potentially wasting away in some form or another. So
it's also the rest of the town wasting away potentially because of all this too. I mean, they're all stuck there, and it's not like they can break. They can't break through. They can't break through whatever this is. They can't get out of it, and once they can't open it, they can't get what they need to get to survive. They're gonna die out too.
Which part of that, I mean, you can look at that like two different ways. Mephisto wise, like there's ways that having Pietro in there and being close to Wanda would have credence for him being Mephisto, but also who's the person that keeps poking the bear and causing Wanda to use more of her magic energy? Hayward. So the shark could also be Hayward, and you think of agents wearing glasses and stuff like that. So I love how vague and not helpful, but also interesting at the same time the commercials have been.
Yeah. This one definitely has been the most because all of the other ones alluded to one of these stones, like in terms of shape or color. So the fact that this was no way representing that,
I'm going to disagree a little bit. I'm not saying it's as obvious. I'm getting some soul stone vibes just because it takes a soul to get the soul stone. So seeing that visage of the kid withering away, and you got, I wouldn't say it's a perfect representation of like the Red Skull, but again, that the skull imagery, the skeleton, if it is, I'm going to lean that it's soul stone. But yeah, it's not nearly as obvious as the other ones.
Another theory that I've seen is Hayward could also be Mephisto as well. I've seen.
Also, that did not feel like TV PG imagery. Just gonna say that.
The show is rated TV-14, by the way. It's rated TV-14.
Oh, that episode was TV-14?
Yes. Or according to Partis. So.
I mean, I grew up with
I trust our friend Partis.
The late 90s, early 2000s. There's some scary stuff on TV.
It did. I mean, weirdly enough, it made me want a Capri Sun.
Hey, we grew up with like Nightmare Room and Goosebumps. I think we can handle Withering Away.
Are you afraid of the dark?
Yeah.
No. Oh, you're saying a show. You're not just asking.
A show. No, I mean, I'm glad you're not afraid of the dark as an adult that you are, but
I think Gunner's got a good theory in the comments.
Oh yeah,
this one.
Mm-hmm, that one.
Yeah, because Hayward was testing on Vision.
That's what I was saying. Like there is a chance that Hayward isn't actually, because there are people that think that he's somehow connected to a lot of this other stuff. There is just as much of a chance that he is just that asshole within the military-based group who's just overextending like his authority because he thinks that shoot first, ask questions later is the way to go to solve things.
I think we might be jumping around, but when we get to the scene where Darcy, Monica, and Jimmy are like hacking into the files.
Austin, that's how these shows work. Everyone crafts a theory every week.
Mephisto.
I think Austin might be Mephisto.
Since episode 2, when I heard Evan Peters was going to be on, I've been on he will be disguised as Mephisto. It didn't completely get debunked today, or with this one, so I'm still on that train. Still on
So-
that train.
I'm
But
on
getting-
it with you. Choo choo. Let's go.
Getting to that scene where they're looking into the files, like, oh, they're tracking Vision. I'm kind of on the same wave with Jeff, is that he's a villain in that he oversaw the testing and experimenting on Vision, Project Cataract, Vision, your cataracts deal with your eyes and vision and stuff. So she found out Hayward was experimenting, got pissed, brought him there, and he's the impetus for that. But I don't think he's more malevolent outside of that. But yeah, he's covering his ass for what he was doing to Vision, and he's interested in Vision's abilities, the
Maddie, you
vibranium.
keep pushing this.
I have to say for to Maddie though, if I'm not mistaken, in Ghost Rider it's Mephistopheles or something
yeah.
like
It's
that.
Mephistopheles.
Yeah.
Thank
But the
you,
thing is,
Mephistopheles.
Mephisto is short for Mephistopheles.
Is it?
Yes.
Okay, I mean that makes sense, but I thought they were like two different characters because whenever I've like read it, they've referred to him as Mephisto and not the full name. But that makes sense. Okay.
Yeah,
Well, yeah,
so you
but
probably
I
want to
mean,
make
like,
sure
it's
that you
obvious
can say, Jesse, I would
Yeah.
just say that word. You may want to make sure you pronounce it right
Yeah, I know.
because that, yeah,
Yeah,
'Cause
no,
if
I
that
just,
gets
I literally
come
just
up.
pulled it up. I use the Wikipedia app for a lot of the stuff that, on the washed out screen, you can totally see what's on it.
Yes.
The comments
yeah,
are
if
gonna blow
you-
up. Get this idiot off the show.
Yeah, I know, right? Fuck me. And
Like,
we're
shit.
canceled.
Not you.
We're canceled, Buck. We're canceled, Buck, for having this guy on. No,
Okay.
Mephisto. You just look up Mephisto, and it says who he's been before. And the only thing that has it credited right now is Kieran Hines in Spirit of Vengeance and Peter Fonda in Ghost Rider.
Okay.
If you select either of their names and you go to if you actually go to like the cast, it says Mephistopheles / the devil, like Mephisto, Mephistopheles. It's just short for Mephistopheles.
And that was my favorite cat in Cats, Mr. Mephistopheles.
You mean magical Mr. Mephistopheles?
Yes, that one.
Man, that was a great Saturday night.
That was fun.
Last Saturday night. That was,
But we're not
we had
tangenting.
a-
We're not getting on
we're not
tangent.
tangenting.
I appreciate the education tangent because, yeah, I have watched both Ghost Riders, but clearly not recent
Same.
enough.
Okay,
no.
so the way that it works is according to the comics, it's just Mephisto. So I
Yeah.
think in Ghost Rider they made it I'm not saying that name because I can't say it.
It doesn't matter.
This, yeah,
Mephistopheles.
Yeah, now that I can see it, because like I don't think I've ever seen it written out. But
Yeah,
now
it's
burned in my
literally
brain.
just Mephistopheles with a couple letters cut off.
It's just
But, I
Mephisto
mean,
Feelies. It's Mephisto and his
I
Feelies.
think what we're doing right now is we're getting down a rabbit hole of pronunciations. Let's get back to
Okay,
Wherever
so
we were.
after the commercial, we come back. Now, do we think that they were just walking by, or they actually were inside the theater? Because it cuts to them. It looks like they were walking out, or just really close by.
I think they're just walking by because everyone's been trick or treating. They're not going to be in the movie theater. They're walking by there, and like I mentioned earlier, the movies that are chosen is a story about hijinks that are created as a result of two twins that are doing something about getting their parents back together. And even though it's showing a brother and sister, we don't know if that's really a brother. And if Mephisto is the one that creates that's there to create the twins, that could actually be the mother and father somehow.
Whoa.
And also,
Just
I mean,
saying.
Vision and Wanda are acting different right now, too, as alluded to by Billy at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
one of those two options is certainly where it's alluding to, or both.
Also, that part of the Parent Trap story literally just hit my head now. Before, I was just thinking two twins that cause hijinks. I forgot it's about getting parents together, and it took seeing that image of Pietro and Wanda next to each other to be like, wait, it's about parents? And
So I want to play something now. We aren't going to hear it, but we can read it. It's kind of what Jeff
Fuck,
said.
I'm ready to get copy strike. Let's go.
First of all, we can't hear it. I'm just saying, like, we
Yeah,
can
see,
see
this
it.
is the line.
Yeah, This is the quote you were speaking of.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's what you wanted, right?
And then she brings up what happened to your accent. He turns it right around on her. What happened to yours?
Again, not answering questions.
Like he's very
Which
like
to
he
some
knows.
people is obviously frustrating because they're like, just answer a question. Stop answering questions with questions.
And for me, it was this scene that cemented how I felt about him as Mephisto. And it's because he brings up, like, You know, he completely breaks down the barriers. He's like, it's just you and me talking, and starts talking about the whole Westview anomaly, and talks. He's like, where these kids come from. You know, I'm sure you just have them normally sleeping in their beds, and no need for unnecessary trauma. And she's like, you don't think this is wrong? He's like, oh no, I think you've handled the ethics of it amazingly. I'm very impressed.
Yeah,
And
I'm like,
that's when I started.
That line right there, I'm like, okay, yeah, he's definitely.
I mean, come on. He's calling out specifically this conversation, and what he brought up is a direct follow-up to Vision's question, where are the children?
Right.
Well, now we know. It sounds like she or someone, because she doesn't know how they got there and whatnot. How do we know that it was still definitely her? Probably was, but it's always Westview.
So I feel like this is more like these questions that he asked was trying to find out, all right, how much does she actually know about what's going on?
And again, Pietro says, you know, Westview is charming as hell. Again, it seems very intentional. And I want to bring up, like, we keep arguing, like, if one person's Mephisto or the other person's Mephisto. Maybe there's more than one person involved, and Mephisto has agents. Hayward could be an agent of Mephisto. We don't know what Agnes's or Agatha's connection
Dottie?
could possibly be.
We haven't seen Dottie, really quick.
We haven't seen Dottie since
3.
she was like, does this make me look fat?
That was the last time we saw her. So I feel, I mean, it's possible we don't see her again, but the fact is she was not placed with a real life person when they were in episode 4, when they were pairing people. Her and Agnes were the two that didn't get placed.
Guys, what if Mephisto is the friends we made along the way?
What?
Shut the fuck up, Dan.
God damn it, Dan. God damn it. So then next, we then see Tommy get his actual speed.
Yeah.
So
what a setup.
and
He's like,
I love how Pietro gets so excited. Like he gets more excited, I think, than him. He's like, oh, little man gets his speed.
Yeah, he's like, you know, he says you're a chip off the Maximoff block. Is it the Maximoff block? Or are you so excited because your child has powers?
By the way, just to point out, when we're talking about like other characters that could be agents and stuff, said it before, said it again. We don't know if, when it comes to Agnes, is Ralph just a sitcom joke of the kooky next door neighbor that's always making jokes, or is Ralph actually relevant? We still don't know who is the person that Randall Park actually had to go because it was their person in custody. We haven't seen Ralph. Could they be one and the same?
We haven't heard Ralph for about 3 episodes, 2 or 3.
We haven't heard about Ralph. Well, yeah, it's also another reason why we haven't heard about Ralph is because what was it? The last time we heard about Ralph was in episode 3. Episode 4 was, of course.
Maddie, that one is good. That one is good.
And I mean, there are
how you are, Maddie. I get it.
Like with if Pietro is their father, like that brings up some weird vibes there too. But so I'm hoping he's Mephisto if that's the case. But you know,
that's some old man Logan type stuff.
So then we go back outside the hex where Darcy, Jimmy, and Monica are kind of in a secret area on the base where Monica's planning on going back in. And Darcy's like,
interesting developments here.
Yeah, and Darcy's like, you can't. She then brings up her cells, and Monica just doesn't care. I think the fact that she's changing after going through the hex feels like maybe that's how they deal with mutants.
Yeah, I said out loud when I was watching it, she's like, oh, your cells are rearranging and they're changing. And I looked at my fiance, I was like, you could almost say they're mutating.
They're mutated cells?
Yeah.
Did she smack you after? Or
to me, that's kind of a weird MacGuffin, because how is that any different than like Hulk getting his powers due to like radiation? Like, just to say they're mutants, like to me that would be a throwaway word at that point.
Or
mutating as opposed to full
even
mutants.
better.
I mean,
even better would be, we don't know who this what do they call him, aerotech engineer person
Space
is.
engineer.
So she
How do
references
we make
he.
Fantastic Four different? Yeah, it's not the Spanish.
Yeah.
It's a she. So you know who else happens to be one of those jobs? Sue. Her job is very similar to that. To at least her general is. But yeah, Maddie is right.
I like this one as well. It being Hank.
But the thing is, though, we heard about the voice actor. We heard about the Spanish dub voice actor, and the voice actor is a female. I mean, one of the ways that we actually learned about Evan Peters was because the Spanish dub actor for Evan Peters from the X-Men films tweeted out about how happy he was,
and
to work
he got fired
on WandaVision.
In this specific episode, they used he.
Yeah, they
Monica says he.
Huh. Okay.
So
it could still be. I would love to see Hank McCoy, so it's not something as because here's the thing, Jack Schaefer, and of course, yes, filmmakers, showrunners, people lie about it all the time. I don't think that they're going to immediately. Like Jack Schaefer, the showrunner, actually said when she heard rumors of like, hey, maybe they're going to do something that could introduce Fantastic Four. She's like, yeah, not yet. No, that's a cool idea. No, but I think it's because if they're going to actually utilize something for potentially X-Men, which they have to at this point because they brought in Evan Peters, so you know that they're already contemplating how to do it.
Yeah, they're consciously aware.
I think
they're definitely thinking of it based on X-Men related, and they're not going to touch Fantastic Four just yet. I could be wrong. We could all be wrong.
Fantastic Four has a director. X-Men does not.
That's because maybe the X-Men are being treated at the moment like the Hulk. I mean, technically, it's because the Hulk. One of the problems is, of course, Universal has the distribution rights to a solo Hulk film, which is why what they did was they created over Ultron, Ragnarok, and Infinity War Endgame. They worked with Ruffalo to actually create a story arc for Hulk to have without him having his own individual film. They could just be working on introducing the concept of mutants in what, and just because they've announced John Watts as a director of Fantastic Four doesn't mean that they're not doing something behind the scenes. We also got 80 million Disney Plus shows and all this other stuff, and they're all going to be integrated and connected.
I think it's only 70 million.
70? I'm sorry, I exaggerated. But it could be it could be little things that are that pop up all throughout. I mean.
And introducing one character of the Fantastic Four is not introducing the Fantastic Four.
True. It's going to be introducing the element to it. I just think,
it's
you
not
always
Mr.
want to...
Fantastic. It's just Reed. Like, that I'm fine with. And I feel like as soon as they finalize that deal, I can just see in Kevin Feige's mind, like, he just has this board of everything that is planned out. And he's all right, where can I fit this to start to tease it? Like, I just feel like that's the way he works. Like, he just,
you guys know
like,
that Always Sunny in Philadelphia shower is just like Pepe Sylvia. That's Feige.
I feel like that's what it is. We have the amazing Koi Jandrew.
What is that, Koi?
Yes. Plant seeds. So Koi, thanks for stopping by and coming to see your boy, the Jackal. And
Hi, Koi.
One interesting theory I read, I was talking with Buck a little bit, and Jeff, you might have been there by this point, is that when Wanda was testing Pietro and talking about, do you remember that kid with the skin condition? That could be hinting at Dr. Doom. Granted, in the comics, he's Latvian, not Sokovian. But again, if we're planting seeds, that could be a seed that's planted pointing to Dr. Doom.
You guys are blowing my mind in the best way.
Here's the thing. What I said was if we're not, obviously, when you talk about skin condition, it could be all sorts of stuff. It could be a younger
Maybe
Beast
he had
person
acne
too. It could, I mean, like, but if it's skin condition, it could be all sorts of stuff, man. Yeah. It could be someone who's like Beast. It could be a reference to what's his name, to Nightcrawler. I know you said that he's mostly German in his origin, but here's the thing: the way these movies and shows have been doing stuff, they haven't really been adapting stuff 100% the same.
Oh yeah.
So. I mean, we don't know. I mean, one of the only things that you can't change is like, I mean, technically based on the time frame, they're going to have to somehow change the trauma of like Magneto growing up when that occurs, only because, I mean, I don't know how old they can have a child who survived the Holocaust be
unless they do some
current
kind of
timeline?
time displacement stuff and like rip him out of time and into current,
Yeah, I don't know what
like,
you're
they'd
talking.
have to do something
Yeah, but
weird.
they've never experimented with time in the MCU before, right? So that's
no. I think
So-
luckily there are other traumas in the world that you can pull
Exactly.
from. Actually,
I think that's
unluckily,
what you
there
do.
are other traumas in the world that you can
rephrase,
So
run it
I
back.
have to interject here. We did get a Streamlabs from the amazing Matty Gunner. Here's some
Hey.
money for some schmoes. Matty Gunner, as always, thank you, my man. You're always great.
Thank you so
That
much.
goes straight to the guest, right? Is that how you guys run it?
I don't
Yeah,
know.
it does. It goes straight to the guest, and by the guest means we are going to, after this, we are going to rent the movie The Guest by Adam Wingard, and we're going to watch it.
That costs, yeah.
The channel is called Show Me the Money, not Give You the Money.
Yeah, but also, Austin is right. Maybe the kid with skin condition is Mephisto.
That's right. He's got a grudge. He's like, I want Pietro's shoes. He got killed. I didn't get them, so now I'm going after his sister.
You're right. Pietro's shoes. That's Mephisto. Yeah.
Or Husk,
Austin.
another X.
You know,
Everyone's Mephisto.
We
A
skipped
lot
over
of-
earlier the Halloween costumes. Did
Yes.
you guys catch what they were in the flashback?
In the one of them was David Hasselhoff, Nick Fury,
And Mantis.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I didn't tell the other one, but I knew it was someone by the bug ears. I didn't know who though.
Yeah, Mantis. I love that you specified the
David Hasselhoff.
the David Hasselhoff Nick
Like,
Fury, because I was watching and I was like,
jacket.
that's some. Oh, I didn't think about the jacket, but I was like, oh man, you can't whitewash Nick Fury, and I was like, wait, he was white previously because yeah.
Yeah, he was white up until they were like, "Hey, Sam Jackson, can we make Nick Fury based on you?" And then
Yeah.
later on, can you also be Nick Fury? And he's
Well,
like,
there
"Motherfucker,
was-
sure."
It's been
There
12 years of Sam Jackson. You know, I've been like inundated with it.
There was actually a universe called the Ultimates universe where
Right.
Nick Fury was black, and that's what they went up.
I think that's what
facing.
he's referring to.
Yes. So let's kind of get a little bit more back on track.
'Cause we promised ourselves we weren't going on a Fantastic Four tangent, which we broke that promise.
This shot,
like- Boy made a great point. Sorry, in the
Yeah,
comments.
Koi's making a great point there too. Yeah, before we move on, yeah, like
that would be
that's what I
very
mean. Like,
appropriate.
it could be
That'd
very
be
appropriate. There's tons of ways to do that when it comes to the Holocaust time displacement there, and the idea of someone who obviously is pulling from like that sort of thing. That is absolutely a great way to kind of
Somebody that
pull
was
that in based on the time frame.
raised, they could have been children during the civil rights era. You know, somebody that was raised
Mhm.
during just social and racial injustice would still have similar feelings against
And
the travesties of humankind.
and that 20-year time frame is pretty much perfect, at least from how it was treated in films, because 20 years ago we got the first bit. I mean, it's 21, but 20 years ago we got, Ian McKellen as Magneto for the first time. So 20 years later, if we're going to start having other stuff with X-Men, and if there's a Magneto thing there where it's current time frame as opposed to more period pieces where the characters don't age, there's that makes perfect sense to go from the early 1940s to the early to mid 1960s as the starting point. I like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
So we got another
Anyways.
Streamlabs from Austin called Sign Caddyshack. Ask
Who's in
Jesse.
Mephisto?
Ask Jesse the same question you asked Jacob Whitnaben. If he gets them right, he gets the Streamlab money. I
I'm sure I
gotta
don't get the
go.
money, but that's
Before you say,
I-
I just want to point out Koi's Fancast thing right there is that, and now I want that.
I love that. Sterling K. Brown seems like he would be pretty young for Xavier.
I've been
I
on
like
the
the look.
Giancarlo Esposito as Dr. Doom. That's who I want as my Doom.
I like Magneto and Doctor Doom. Both of those choices.
I
work for
saw
me.
I saw Viggo Mortensen as Dr. Doom, and I'm like, that could be great. Anyways, let's.
I gotta
Yeah.
see if I remember the question I asked.
Oh, I feel like it's gonna be just off. Can I ask ahead of time if Jacob got it?
He did not.
Okay.
Let me see if I can remember what it was. I will
Wait.
let you know this. It was a Star Trek question. Oh,
No.
okay.
Oh wait,
I
are you asking a
remember.
question that I randomly asked Jacob.
No. So, all right. So, in the category of Star Trek, what is the name of the third Star Trek film to star the cast of the Next Generation? Star Trek: The Next Generation crew.
Oh yeah, I asked that question. I made it up on the spot.
Is it
No, you didn't.
Insurrection?
That is correct.
Oh, I thought I did. Did I? Oh, I made
Nope.
up a different one.
So,
You got
so
wrong.
yes, I think it is fair since Jesse got that one. All the money that we get today, we will go ahead and send over to Jesse.
Perfect.
It
Fantastic.
is going to cover your own StreamYard or whatever that you might use.
Yeah.
Dawn of the Star Trek
Well,
of the
I'm
Ages.
still on the free version of StreamYards, but I'm looking into when I get more comfortable with it. We'll see.
Yeah, we couldn't do the stuff on our channel with the free version. Like the amount of stuff that I've always. He's like, that's right. Yeah.
Repping. I
So-
thought I was going to embarrass myself with some Star Trek, so thank you for that.
I just know that Star Trek for a lot of people in or geekdom is a very, I wouldn't say weak. It's just something they probably don't focus on as much.
We need Inman back in to help cause everyone to do a lot more studying in some of those categories. If you had Inman and Cushing both in there, Lord of the Rings and Star Trek would not be safe, and the Rooks would have to step it up.
I mean, not saying that because we haven't seen him actually compete in it yet. But when it comes to Merle and IG, at least one category he'll probably have on lock is Star Trek.
Yeah.
Because
I'm
man,
curious.
He
if
took it
he will
upon
put
himself
that
to do the
on
honest
against
trailers
Snyder
for the whole series and watch the whole series over again and all the films and everything just to do honest trailers alone. He's been studying and rewatching those things for years.
I wouldn't be surprised if he puts it on the wheel against Snyder because they can do that this season. So we'll have to see. But no, trying to get more back on track. Vision, Vision goes farther away from Wanda, and here they're not even moving. Like they're just they're just still.
Which kind of makes you wonder how they got into that position in the first place.
Yeah, definitely. It's very. Like, I don't know if they've been there the entire time. And one thing that's always been crossed my mind is each episode just one day? So, like, they go to sleep and then they wake up in a new decade?
Or
So,
even the same time differently.
I think they're definitely experiencing time differently because you also have to remember, what was it? The last episode was, the family ties and whatnot. And then this one here is Malcolm in the Middle, right? But
they're skipping decades without the kids aging also.
Yeah, but I mean the actors aren't aging for any of it either. But the biggest thing is what was it? The last week episode, Wanda walks out and she throws the drone at them, right? And when she's leaving and walking out to throw the drone at them, the alarm's going off. And everything's going crazy. So the drone's on the ground. She goes back in, and they're freaking out. And then suddenly the alarm's still going off at the very end. Pietro shows up. I think it's the same alarm. I've seen some people being like, "No, the alarm's going off because he entered it somehow." No, the alarm was going off like that whole time. That was like their next scene. And because then the beginning of this episode, they're only just now bringing the drone in to take a look at it. They didn't just let it sit there for a full 24 hours and then move it. So time is definitely moving at a different pace, which makes sense because television shows don't have time moving at the same pace as real life.
20, 30-minute chunks.
Yeah.
So, so then, Vision walks around. He then changes to actual Vision. And then we have the scene with Agnes.
The budget's starting to show, by the way.
Right?
Because everyone's asking where that $220 million went.
It's in the last 3 episodes. I think we're getting like a huge fight.
I thought it was supposed to, from at least from what I read, it was like what, $10 to $20 million an episode or something. 10 to 15
equates to be
it's TV. No. This. I know it's TV, but this is film quality stuff now. Like all these streaming services.
It's serialized film, I think is what we can call it now.
And which you can tell more when you do it this way. You can develop characters a lot better. You don't have a 2-hour time crunch to develop.
I do hate hearing that things like, "Oh, it's a 10-hour movie." No, just call it a fucking TV show. It's okay. It's okay to call it a show.
Yeah, I think I heard like the season was like 200 or like 200 million for the entire season. I'm like, whew.
Yeah, that would make sense if it was like $20 million an episode.
But look,
And if it was lesser at the beginning and it gets more depending on the big set piece stuff that might
Disney
occur.
Plus just broke about 94, 95
Right,
million subscribers.
Just under
which
95,
is,
yeah.
That was their 4-year
subscribers,
plan.
not money. Subscribers. That's
Subscribers. And
And
that's
it's
even
only
if
going to
you-
go up now. It's
and
going to go
even
up.
if you just have that as they're like what you pay you paid up front
yeah.
at an average of like $5 a month or whatever for 3 years.
I
That's
think it
still
started somewhere between
$5
5 and
times
7.
90. Yeah, because they had like all the different deals when they first started. I don't know what it is, but cats trying to climb on me today during this. They never. Hello.
Attention.
Hello. But yeah, I think the 95.
Yes.
If you just do 95 million multiplied by 5 million or $5 a person, that's still a lot of fucking money. And we know that it's more, that not everyone is paying 5. Some are paying 6, some are paying 7. Some of them also happen to have the bundles where they're paying for Hulu as well as, and you know that that there's all sorts of other stuff too. If they're not paying monthly, if they pay it all together. Yeah, the cat is Mephisto. Thanks, Dan. So there's all sorts of different ways. Anyways, we're getting off track just talking about budgets. But
so this scene with Agnes, I still think that she's someone. I think she's faking that she's under control.
I think that it could be a bit of both. I think that she could be involved in, but also influenced. But there's something to the fact that she has kind of been like assigned to be Wanda's personal person. You know,
the
like
kooky
one that is
neighbor.
attached to her. Yeah, the kooky neighbor. The one she gets more of an inside view to Wanda's life than like anybody else. You know, so she's just, anytime Wanda needs anything, it's Agnes that's right there, and nobody else has that.
Vision mentioned it last episode too, where he's like, it's like, why are you dressed that way? I have a feeling someone's going to show up, and she shows up with exactly the thing we need.
Yeah.
Here's a doghouse.
Right. I think she's distressed. I think maybe she might be one of the few people that came in here intentionally, possibly working with, we'll say Mephisto one more time. But I don't think that means that Wanda hasn't had an influence over her.
What are you doing? What is happening? I don't need this.
Get a show. All right, guys. Streamlabs. You're getting a free cat show.
Oh my God. What are you doing? What is happening?
Usually got to pay extra for all that tail.
I'm just saying.
Oh God.
Streamlabs.com/schmomethemoney.
If you want to see more cat lap dance.
This is my second one today.
So yeah, I think maybe you're right. Is that she's probably either she met Wanda before they went in, and she's helping her, or she's a lackey for whoever set this up. Because I don't think Wanda set it up. I think she's maintaining it though. I think whoever set it up and then gave her control, and she's currently maintaining it.
Again, from last episode, once she went back in and the whole thing turned red, I think she started to get more, again, quote unquote, control over it, or at least the ability to manipulate it, the hex itself more.
Yeah, I mean, she didn't know at the beginning. She was probably a little just as oblivious, considering she had no idea how it started. And she said it to Vision, she said it to Pietro. She doesn't know how it started, but she's been able to sort of cope with it as the way. I mean, then again, when you get dropped into some form of stages of grief, sometimes you could be so distracted and blinded by the pain that you're experiencing that you don't know how suddenly you went. Like, you could be driving one night because you're thinking, and suddenly you don't even realize you didn't even realize that now it's like you've driven 10 miles down the road and you're like, wait a minute, how did I get here?
You're on autopilot.
She could have been, she was on autopilot, and suddenly it happened.
Yeah. And I found it interesting how Vision didn't change to human Vision. He was just Vision here.
Yeah.
I thought it was funny.
So she's like, am I dead? He's like, no. Why? Because you are. So obviously she's from the outside world. I was definitely, well, they're all from the outside world in a way. But what I found to be very curious
was I was somehow expecting, because that exact exchange, him waking her up, and then obviously they removed a couple of words, but I thought that they were, because Marvel is known to do this in their trailers, make something look some way to make it look like something it's not.
Right,
I thought, considering how much everyone's been like believing Agnes could be like Agatha Harkness or some shit, I thought that they might have somehow made that scene look a way to kind of make her just seem like another victim of the town. But then it played out almost the exact same way, and yet it still didn't feel that way. It was odd. In context of the scene, it felt different.
It threw me a little bit because I've definitely hard been on the Agatha Harkness train.
Everyone has, yeah.
But
you don't cast Catherine Hahn just for that.
He says Agnes to her, and she just responds and keeps talking after she's been snapped out of it. And I was like, everyone has their name changed, as we found out from the last episode. Everyone's name is changed once they get brought into Wanda's reality. But she still responded to it, which leads a little bit of credence to maybe she is faking it a little bit, because she should have a different personality and be a different person.
Like,
if
who's
she's
Agnes?
really fully, yeah, exactly.
I love her laugh, like her witch laugh.
I mean, you do know. I mean, one thing that was noted yesterday, because some of the thoughts definitely come from the action conversation yesterday. I saw from the chat, and it's definitely something that I believe too, was she's never been on the outskirts of scenes and whatnot. You only ever see her actually. Why was she acting like everyone else all of a sudden? And where was she? Ellis Avenue. Why was that? What's the significance of Ellis Avenue? It's the edge of Westview's bubble. So there's a reason.
Ellis in MCU.
I think that the biggest concern there is, why was she frozen at that exact spot? She was there to somehow end up kind of attracting Vision to go to there to get to the edge, possibly as a way to get him to actually try and maybe cross through. Maybe the intention, her and whoever might be above her, it might have been they wanted him to actually explore and to do that in order to force Wanda to use her power to expand. This could all be something that was actually planned from the beginning, and there's still pawns in it, even though, because she might be controlling the size of it and a lot of the power from it, but she may not be the one in charge, if that makes sense.
Cue Twilight Zone music.
Another thing, like this scene right here where he's basically probing her, I think for me just laid more that he is not who he appears to be. It may not be Mephisto, because this could also be like he's working for S.W.O.R.D, trying to find out more information. Because it's interesting. A person can literally from the outside world just walk into the hex, and if they want, they could probably leave as well. So it's not like they can't walk in. So he could be working for someone, and it's possible that when he walked into the hex, it wasn't as Evan Peters. It could be just
the people have gone through and stayed the people. They might have different names and whatnot. So, I mean, then again, remember, in the X-Men movies, he's not Pietro. He's Peter.
Right. I've brought that up before. And someone's like, oh, Peter's a nickname for Pietro. And I'm like, that's... I mean, I don't know.
They called him Peter because they haven't brought in... because he's not like the immigrant type character that he is in the MCU and whatnot. They did call him... change.
Interestingly enough, though, I forgot which one of the twins it was, but they called him Uncle Pete in the show. In this episode.
Yes, I don't remember which one, though.
I think Uncle Pete. I thought.
Was it Uncle Pete? I mean, it's very close. I could have misheard it. I
thought that's what the subtitle said.
Okay. By the way, just as a thing that popped in my head now, another thing that Bibbs has mentioned was, when it comes to, they did definitely pull from the 90s a bit. There was Malcolm in the Middle. There's also some other show I never watched called The Adventures of Pete and Pete.
Nickelodeon show.
Just saying, with Evan Peters taking over the role in this one here as a recast, it is also an adventure of Pete and Pete.
I want to address the prince that wasn't promised in the
Hey.
comments, because he said that he didn't have a twin in the Fox universe. He did. It's in a deleted scene though. They had a Wanda casted. She was much well, actually, yeah, she was younger than him, so that's
Younger
weird. But
sister.
they gave
Get a
him, yeah, they
He
gave
had a
him
younger
No,
twins.
two. So he had two sisters.
Did he?
Yes, he had the young one that we see, and then because I just watched that movie yesterday,
Okay.
they do reference "Where's your sister?" Like, she asked the little girl, "Where's your sister?"
Oh.
So there's another sister we just
Westview.
didn't see. Westview. That is very true. So yeah, we get this scene, and then Vision attempts to leave the hex, where
Yeah.
he starts as soon as he walks out, the alarm goes off, and everyone at Sword runs out, and they're standing, they're kind of watching him. Once he fully walks out, he kind of drops to his knees, and he starts to basically disintegrate piece by piece.
And
I
it
was
looks like
seeing
there's nothing underneath, like not
Yeah.
wiring, anything. It just like obscure, like just like a black hole.
Void, like a void,
yeah, void. Thank you. Yeah.
I know a lot of people's like, well, how come he didn't just drop straight dead? Well, if you remember, when Wanda takes him from Sword, he's in pieces. That's how he was before he was put into the hex. Or
To me, he's also
that's my thought process.
to me, he's a construct of the hex. Like, yes, he was in pieces, but he's a construct of the hex. And so to go out, he's not real or living. So he's just returning to his place of now origin.
It definitely was very interesting that he was being pulled apart and there wasn't a whole lot under there. But I also think that it's a matter of he's only able to survive in the hex. It's not just like, oh, maybe because it's not about what you were outside of there and you go back in and you come back out and you go back to how you were, because otherwise Monica would have had her outfit be back to normal probably. And her outfit wasn't. Her outfit had the correct the correct, like, it was 87% Kevlar, but it was still a 70s outfit. So it's not just, I mean, I get it. It's his actual body, but also he's not necessarily,
The same.
He's not organic. So I think it just is a matter of he is existing as he is because of the bubble. And him trying to pull away from the bubble, which is so focused on keeping him as he is, was tearing him apart more than just he was broken into
Which
pieces.
I think is one of the reasons why we saw Zombie Vision in third episode.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I
Fourth,
thought because
fourth.
it's
We
his
also
actual dead
saw
body.
Zombie Peter. In this episode
Or
as
Pietro,
well.
complete with the bullet holes and everything. Which that's why they clever them in rewatching. That's why they had that specific shot in the previously on, and then they showed Ultron just the shot where he gets shot.
Can we talk about how weird it is to have Aaron Taylor Johnson and Evan Peters Quicksilver in the same 30-minute span?
Yeah.
Even though it's like a brief clip thing. Yeah, it's definitely strange. But of course, Darcy saying it's like, I can't believe it's like her brother's there. And she goes, yeah, with a whole new face.
Yeah, you brought the wrong face.
Yeah, brought the wrong face. That's what it was. Yeah.
So then next, Billy, I always confuse the name.
That's why I
Short hair
always say
Billy,
Speed
long
and
hair
Wiccan.
Tommy.
It's easier.
Speed and Wiccan. So then Wiccan then senses him outside the hex. He's outside the hex at this point, and he's able to hear him. And I love what he does to Speed. Just puts his hands out and he just stops. I'm like, oh, that's badass.
And he's got blue energy.
That's what Tommy was also like. He's like, oh, that's cool.
Oh, that's cool. So then he goes and tells Wanda. And so what I thought was going to happen here is Wanda was going to like lift up with her powers and like zoom out to the hex. No, she just expands the hex. What? I was like,
bigger. Everything
like,
bigger.
Because that's what I
she
thought.
Just pulled the Adam Driver, she's like, more.
More. Like, so then she expands the hex, and Darcy will now be in the hex, and I know a lot of people will be disappointed if she's not a waitress. She doesn't have to be the waitress from
Right.
Two Broke
Right.
Girls. Just a waitress, because Two
If
Broke
you're
Girls
gonna
is
give
on.
the kick-ass line, you make her a waitress.
Yeah, just a waitress, and I'm like, okay, that's good. But yeah, no, she's in the hex now. I love how she turned a lot of the sword people into clowns.
Like, we
And then
won't get into
mine,
it, but that's some commentary, I think.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
yeah, oh yeah. I mean, yeah, we're like I thought we'd run a little bit long here because we got our tangents, and it basically ends with um, Hayward in a SUV driving away, trying to get in touch with anyone. He can't hear him. And the episode ends. So it's like kind of like a cliffhanger. So I'm curious as to how they're going to start next week. Are we going to start in the hex set in that new decade, or is it going to start with them still driving off?
Well,
I think
for
it's going to
those of
start
us,
with. Oh,
Go
you
ahead.
go. You go.
okay, for those of us that think that Doctor Strange is going to have a part to play in the finale, like I do, I think that this expansion might be what finally catches the attention of the. I guess he's not technically the Sorcerer Supreme yet, or he hasn't been labeled that. But yeah, I think this is going to be hard to ignore. And Sword just got cut down like 75%. If that was their one of their, well, I don't know if that's their main base of operations. It's something Sword is doing.
It's just a base of operations that they set up outside of it.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's their main base at all. It's literally just they just have everyone there to monitor the situation. I
we
think
gotta
he's
wonder
the
how many
Sorcerer
more Sword
Supreme at that
members.
point. They just haven't said it yet. But then again, I mean, they haven't actually called King
I was
Kong
under
King yet, so.
the assumption at the end of Doctor Strange he had become the Sorcerer Supreme since he had the eye.
I don't know. I feel like the Sorcerer Supreme takes a lot more than that, because at that point he did something fantastic, but I don't think he's the best sorcerer that existed at that point. But I'm not getting into a Doctor Strange tangent. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no. Yeah, we definitely don't have
I
time
mean,
for
hey,
that.
it could just be a position name, but also, I mean,
but no,
it was also pretty cool when he brought in literally everyone in the MCU that they brought back on the casting list in Endgame. That was pretty supreme.
that entire scene, when that movie came out, that track on the soundtrack I played on loop for like a week straight because it got me so pumped. It made me want to like just go punch a wall. I'm like, let's go. Like I got so excited.
This is what I want to see. I want us to be in in one of the sitcoms, and then you just see the portal open up.
That'd be cool.
Doctor Strange just walks directly into the sitcom,
and he pulls basically what happened in the comics with Charles. He says, "Wanda, knock it off!" Like literally, he's gonna have to snap her out of it. I know that he's not on the level of a Luke Skywalker, but I feel like that's probably what the big cameo is, or what I want, a Michael Fassbender showing
Which,
up.
by the way, just want to bring this up because Jesse hasn't heard this complaint of mine that you guys have. When referencing a Luke Skywalker sized cameo or appearance of a character, when that happened on The Mandalorian, which by the way I have my own issues with him showing up in there, but that's besides the point. No one was told ahead of time to expect that. No one was necessarily being like, oh, we're gonna get this giant character to show up or something. It just happened and everyone's jaws dropped. So now it's like, by the way, we're also going to have something huge in WandaVision. So let's have you sit in a constant state of anticipation, waiting to see who it could be. Hope it doesn't disappoint you in any way by us building this anticipation by saying it. Just stop fucking saying that this is going to happen and just show it when it happens.
I think Coy said that on the IG show yesterday. Yeah. I think Coy said.
Coy definitely did. Well, what's not fair, I think, is that Elizabeth Olsen was being interviewed, and she said, could we see and the interviewer said, could we see something like a Luke Skywalker level cameo? And she said basically something along the lines of, yes, we have some big surprises. And everyone then went, what's the Luke Skywalker level cameo? It's like, is
it Evan P? Like,
it could have been. It might have happened already.
But the thing is, it's not a cameo, though. He was in this episode.
She didn't say it was a cameo either. She said we have some big stuff coming.
Yeah. It's just the way that people end up perpetuating, too.
I think someone said it yesterday, and I watched so many breakdowns on Friday. I'm not entirely sure who said, but I know I heard it yesterday. Any predictions for next week?
Luke is Mephisto. Dan's right.
Luke is Mephisto. Yeah.
Lucas.
So
Or
again, not necessarily predictions, but I guess maybe one's more just a general commentary. I think we're going to learn what the cataracts is, and I think it has to do with what Hayward was doing to Vision.
Makes sense because Vision and cataracts have to do with your vision.
Right. And then with one thing I don't want to forget is like, especially with like episode 2, all the For the Kids stuff. These kids, I don't want us to forget how important these kids are in the whole realm of the show. Something is up with the kids, and they were created for a reason, and not necessarily just because Wanda and Vision wanted children.
And it ties back to the whole idea of like, is Mephisto has to be involved somehow with just the imagery, the references, the twins having been brought on by him, the constant references, especially in this episode, between between the movies that are selected and their importance to how it could act, like to how it could be kind of referencing Mephisto and the twins, all of it, that they are absolutely key and integral to this whole thing. I'm wondering if they're going to grow up and we're going to have some like great actors that might be playing them. But at the same time, we don't know if they're going to grow up anymore because they already learned their lesson about not aging up too much. So
we shall see.
I guess tell you,
but Jesse, yeah.
I'll tell you what we'll definitely see, because he was only an hour away. We're going to find out who that Aerotech engineer is next episode.
Yeah.
As far as predictions go, every time I predict something, I get smacked in the face every episode. So like, I don't know how far I throw my predictions. I keep them kind of shallow. I love speculating about what could be overall in the show after watching an episode. But as far as it goes episode to episode, I'm always so wrong that like I hear you.
And this show has such a unique kind of rhythm to it. Because like there was the sitcom rhythms and tones that it was going with the David Lynch sinister vibes underneath in the first several episodes, but then it comes to the real world and kind of backtracking, and now it's going back and forth. So it's definitely much harder to accurately predict. Jesse's right there. I mean, because the show doesn't have a predictable rhythm to it. You don't know
it's not Mandalorian.
It's not.
And I don't mean that as a shot.
It's not a series of side quests leading up to the main objective. It's not just a goal to complete the platinum out the story. It's a bunch of shit, and we also have to remember too. Bringing up Doctor Strange, bringing up, alternate realities and portals and shit. One thing that we know about WandaVision is that it's going to lead directly into Doctor Strange 2. So how much of this is going to be, because it's a limited series, it's not going to have sequel series, it's not going to have a second season. How much of this series is going to have a finality to it, to actually have answers where we're like, yes, we can either be, we don't like the answer or we're satisfied with it, but either way, there is a way that the story ends this chapter. And how much of it is, this is all directly tied into Doctor Strange, because we've heard that technically this Doctor Strange 2 and Spider-Man 3 are sort of this overarching trilogy of reality warping bullshit.
And I've heard Loki will tie into Doctor Strange potentially as well.
Yeah, so how much of this is actually just going to be we're still left with answers at the end because it's something that directly influences the setup of Doctor Strange 2? Because another thing, obviously, is Disney is really banking on these shows now. But we also know that even when that's the case and they have so many subscribers, there will be people that aren't going to be watching TV shows. They're just going to go to a theater and they're going to watch a movie. And that's going to be it. So how much are they banking on the too bad everything's integrated? Are they going to make it work where you got to have seen the show in order to get some of the stuff in the movie? Are they going to be like, yeah, all this stuff, it helps? Sort of like how when I played God of War, the new one on the PS4. I don't know if you played that one. It's so good. I never played the other games. I didn't play the other games, but I read the plot. I read the plots. Yeah, exactly. Do you see what I mean? But it does canonically take place after all of them, and it makes references to it, and it helps add to the overall emotional beats of the story, especially Kratos' thing with his son and the idea of, you know, being a better father than his father was to him. How much of what WandaVision is setting up is absolutely necessary for the average person to watch before they see Doctor Strange 2 or Spider-Man? That's a big question that I have in my head too.
I mean, we're not going to know until we watch all 9.
Of course.
Here.
Of course.
But I think these last 3, it's gonna be taken. Like, we're gonna see stuff where, like, what the like. I think the slow burn thing is might be one more before we really, I think, get a lot of information as to what this is.
Mm-hmm.
I think if it's not 7, it'll definitely be early in 8.
Do we think that the last couple episodes are going to be longer?
No, I think they'll be probably around the same 25, 30 minutes. Because it just doesn't make sense.
Maybe, I think a long finale. I think you get like a 45, maybe 50-minute finale.
Now, here's the deal. It might say 45 minutes.
Right.
But every episode is 7 minutes of credits.
Yeah. So I'm just saying the overall runtime, I'm saying is going to be longer than... Because I think, isn't like 41, 42, like the longest we've had so far?
Yeah, like without credits, it's been like 40-ish minutes. Yeah. But
maybe an extra 10.
Yeah, so I mean, like maybe an extra 10 minutes. So the overall episode length could be like 40 minutes or whatever. But it's definitely curious because, you know, how much did we anticipate when it came to Mandalorian? Like, oh yeah, don't worry, we know that the finale is going to be like an hour long, and it was also like 35 minutes. And we're like, it's exactly as long as it needed to be. And that's the thing. Some of these episodes,
because there's a lot of people that work.
Why? Right. But I mean, Netflix does the same fucking thing, and their credits are 2 minutes, including all of that stuff.
Longest episode to date, by the way, was episode 5 at 42 minutes.
Okay, that's
that,
close.
and that is with
minutes.
Credits. And that is
that means
credits.
It's 35 minutes because it's always been roughly 7 minutes of credits. So 35 minutes.
I don't see them doing like a 50-minute episode, but none of them have been even close to that length. Now, I would love to see it because I love this show, and yeah, like Jeff said, this is gonna be the one season because the whole premise idea doesn't make sense for more than 1 year.
Use a smaller font, fit more names on the damn screen. Yeah, I mean,
it's also possible the speed that they're showing the names on the credits too.
And I want to address the potential of Marvel leaving the general fans behind. I think we are now, we are 12. Are we approaching 13 years into the MCU?
2008. Yeah. It didn't start until May. If you want to be like super, but yeah,
it's approaching.
Yep. 13.
Yeah. They've done such a good job of the reason they make billions and billions of dollars on each movie is because they include the general audience and they'll make references to the other films. Like, do you think everybody that saw Infinity War and Endgame saw every Marvel movie for every character that was involved? No. However, side point with WandaVision, because there's a lot of general audience people that are not digging WandaVision. I think that at some point it's a little bit of tough shit because you're that far into it. Like, you don't expect people to go and see Rise of Skywalker that have never seen a single Star Wars movie, right? Like, you have to do some research, you know. And I think with how long the MCU's been out, you're not going to have a lot of people coming into these projects that have seen none of it. Like, I think at this point, if you were ever going to watch some Marvel content, you've probably started in one form or another. And sorry about the S-bomb. I don't know how you guys feel about stuff.
No.
We don't care if you fucking curse.
I'm just saying that there are other Schmodown after shows that curse more than we do. So
I don't think we've really.
No. We really haven't. But Jesse, it was such a blast.
Problem if I fucking say fuck.
It was
monetize.
We're not monetized.
Jokes on you.
But
not
now that he brings
monetized.
that up, everyone, we're at 88 subscribers. We need 12 more to hit 100. It would be great if we could hit that in the month of February. That way we can make a custom URL for this YouTube channel. So it is easier for everyone to find instead of it being a bunch of random numbers and letters. We could just put youtube.com/shmowmethemoney. So
Some
we just
people
need
have
12
very
more.
lofty goals and world hunger, world peace. We want a custom URL for our YouTube channel.
We do not
We
want
need 12 of you to help us out.
our URL.
Some people
I'm
just need all the
saying
money. We need
Jesse's
some
already
clicks.
done it, you guys. Jesse's already done it. So be
Thank
like
you.
Jesse and
He
subscribe
seems
to
like
the
a good
channel.
role model.
That's not something I hear very often in my life. Be like me.
Hold on. I want to do something here real quick. There it is. There it is. I am
What
else?
dropping.
Anticipation.
Are you dropping his channel in the chat?
I am. I'm dropping his channel in the chat. Everyone, go ahead and give Jesse a follow on
That's
his.
that's my regular channel. Sorry, that's got skateboarding and stuff on it. That's not my podcast channel. I'm sorry. I can
hold
do
on.
it though.
I'm removing it.
Well, if you want
I
to follow
removed
that
it.
one too.
Yeah, if you guys like
hold on.
skateboarding and random.
I got it somewhere in here.
Oh
let me
wait.
pull this up.
I think I remember where it was. Hold on.
Yeah, it's this.
But it's the Flick and Reel Fancast.
Yeah, the flicking reel.
There we go, getting it in there.
You'll- Yeah, if you want to send it in the private, yeah, there we go. We got it.
We got it. Okay, excellent.
Yeah.
There we go. Yeah, so that would be.
Sorry,
that'd be
yeah,
awesome
no,
if you
that
guys-
was yeah, no, everyone, go ahead and follow Jesse there on his channel. Just
Follow us
talk
first.
a lot of the same stuff. There's a little bit of schmo content on there, but weekly so far we're doing WandaVision reviews. If you look back, there's Mandalorian reviews as well. Right now I got time to do about one episode a week, but as things slow down, we get back into movie seasons and stuff like that. You'll get a lot of movie news on there. So
Yeah, there's gonna be some pretty consistent stuff here. We got this, and then we're gonna get in March 19th. We're gonna have Falcon and Winter Soldier, and nothing is happening before March 19th, especially on March 18th. And then after
you'll get
May,
1 week of me talking about movies and movie news, and then right back into Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Yeah, yeah, and Jesse, we would love to have you back on, as it was a pleasure. Now, Jesse, other than that YouTube channel, where else can everyone find you online?
Well, you can find me at Twitter at Jesse Swift, the Jackal. Yeah, I was waiting for him to show up. He usually always interrupts these shows. And then you can find me on Instagram. I'm not too private of a person, and that's Nifty Swifty 93. And then yeah, that's it. Those are spots. Twitter, YouTube, Instagram.
Awesome. Yeah, everyone go ahead and follow him there. He has a match here coming up here in just a few weeks. So let's
against the one and only Amaru Moses, kicking off both the Schmodown and IG matches.
And rookie matches.
And rookie matches. No pressure at all. I'm not feeling it.
Nope.
None.
All right. Dan, where can everyone find you online?
You can find me on Twitter at dhouse77. Otherwise, hanging out with the generals in the Action Army. And I stream tabletop RPG games on Twitch at McStabber Studios.
Awesome.
Jeff, where can we find you?
Here, and when the camera goes off, I sit here and I wait until the camera goes back on, just frozen in place, single tear down my eye. You can find me at GEOFF1106, as it says on the screen. That is my Twitter handle. That is my Instagram handle. You can also find me tonight, actually, on Chris Clark's Twitch channel. He is, if I'm not mistaken, I want to have the actual Twitch handle correct. I forgot I quit out of Twitter. So let me pull up what his channel is called. It is twitch.tv/Chris Clark 8788. I will be on tonight. I believe it is 12 like midnight or 12:30 in the morning Eastern. I will be playing part of their Mario Party thing for the PJ Campbell Network alongside Chris Clark, Rachel Silvestrini, and Bidor.
That's how friendships are ended. Mario Party and Monopoly.
Yeah. So before I got to make sure I download the program and connect my controller to make sure it works on my computer. That's very important.
That is. Yes.
Yeah. You can find all that here. Buck, where can people find you?
You can find me right here, Brandon Buck 88 on Twitter. You can also follow the show's Twitter at SchmoMeMoney. We tweet out everything to do with the Schmodown. If Christian drops a match, if a competitor drops a promo, like anything Schmodown or Schmodown competitor related, we will have tweeted out. So it's going to be extremely fun here. Just glad
The
that we
promos
changed.
are going to be great this year, guys.
Oh, I don't doubt that. Like
Jesse,
promos
they
are
fucking better be.
but no, I'm
There's
really
been
excited
conversations.
for these matches to start. We have one literally less than a week away. Our first matches for pay-per-view. Everyone, thanks for tuning in. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe.
Please leave a comment. What did you like? What did you dislike?
Yeah.
Do you care that Jesse was on? Do you want him back? Do you want him to never come back on again? Let us know.
All right. See y'all later.